The tears of a politician and how to cover them. Welcome to Newswatch with me, Samira Ahmed. Coming up, if the Chancellor's distress on Wednesday was down to a private matter, was it any business of BBC News to report on it? We'll be asking Chris Mason whether the extent of the coverage was tantamount to bullying. First, plenty's been written and said this week about the streaming of Bob Vylan's performance at Glastonbury, much of it about the BBC and quite a lot of it on BBC News. Here's an example from Monday's News at 6.
The police have launched criminal investigations into two bands that performed at Glastonbury this weekend, the Northern Irish band Kneecap and punk rap duo Bob Vylan. After Vylan led the crowd in a call for the death of the Israel Defence Forces, the BBC says it should have pulled the live coverage of their performance, describing their anti-Semitic sentiments as utterly unacceptable.
A number of viewers did not like the way the controversy was covered over the week on BBC News. One of them was Cheryl Kennedy.
The appalling performance of Bob Vylan was given so much free publicity. Yes, you could have told me about the controversy. You could have told me that the government was very unhappy about it, or that the BBC regretted not stopping the live streaming in its tracks. But you did not have to share with me time and again the visual of the performance. You've thrust this man metaphorically down my throat, and I resented it. There were far more important things to cover than giving this man publicity the likes of which he could never have afforded had he had to pay for it.
Thursday evening may not have been the best night for BBC television audiences who were interested in news but not sport. Instead of the News at 6, BBC One decided to stick with Jack Draper's match at Wimbledon, delaying that bulletin. And when it was broadcast an hour later, one story occupied the first 10 minutes of the programme.
Tonight, Liverpool star Diogo Jota is killed in a car crash at the age of 28. His club says his death is an unimaginable loss.
With BBC Two showing a match in the UEFA Women's Euro football tournament, Linda Robinson's frustration was evident. Honestly, BBC, do you think only sports fans watch the news? I tune in for the 6 p.m. news. No, it's tennis. BBC Two, no, it's football. 24-hour news, top story, 16 minutes about a footballer I have never heard of, having sadly passed away in a car crash. This is simply not good enough. Now, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has a tough job at the best of times and has faced a good deal of criticism recently from fellow MPs and in the media, and press speculation in the past few days that her days in the job were numbered. Her appearance at Prime Minister's Questions on Wednesday saw her under particular scrutiny.
Take a look at the Chancellor, as the Conservative leader pointed out.
She looks, Mr. Speaker, she's pointing at me. She looks absolutely miserable. Labour MPs, yeah, she looks absolutely miserable.
We could see Rachel Reeves was in tears. I was looking down from the press gallery and we repeatedly saw her wiping them away from her cheeks.
Journalists were told the reason for the Chancellor's evident emotion was a personal matter, which she herself reiterated in an interview the following day, adding that she would not be going into details. Given that, several members of the audience thought there was too much focus on those tears and their possible cause. Susan Ziobro made this appeal. Give the woman a break. Stop hounding her. Have you never seen someone cry before? This is emotion shaming at its worst. A viewer called David agreed. The way reporters have piled on to push and push, even when told it is a personal matter, is nothing short of bullying and harassment. In what other forum would such behaviour be tolerable? And Diana McRae had this to say. Why do journalists keep banging on about Reeves crying at PMQs on every radio and TV news programme? Don't they realise Rachel Reeves is a real person with the same private concerns as everyone? Haven't they heard of online bullying? I thought BBC News types were better than that. She's a public figure, but deserves a bit of respect and privacy, like everyone. Noses out. Well, let's discuss those reactions with the political editor for BBC News, Chris Mason, who joins us from Sheffield. Chris, thank you for coming on Newswatch. Given that journalists were told the Chancellor was upset over a personal matter, should there have been so much coverage and speculation as to why she was in tears?
Let me talk you through the timeline of this. So we weren't told that straight away, and I was very conscious. I was in the press gallery of the House of Commons watching Prime Minister's questions. I was very conscious that what we were witnessing was something that we don't normally see. And of course, the first thing you think of is the human being. Now, I was conscious in the first instance that I wasn't even certain, and I was very clear with our team that we should certainly not speculate as to what might have been the cause of it. Could it, for instance, have been some sort of allergic reaction, some sort of allergy? In other words, I didn't even think it was appropriate for us to assume, until we could establish the facts, whether she was indeed upset. Now, within an hour or so, we were told that there was a personal reason, but we were also told that there'd been something of a run-in with the Speaker on her way into the chamber. And obviously the wider context is one in which her job had got altogether even harder because of that about turns on the benefits bill and what that means for the spreadsheets in the Treasury. But it was absolutely crucial to me and to our team that we told it with an appropriate register and tone, and we calibrated our language because that is appropriate in the context of pictures like that. But pictures like that you can't walk past. They are newsmaking, they are out there, and a responsible BBC News reports on it, but does it in the right tone and tenor.
Viewers will hear what you say, Chris, but they'll also say politicians are subject to so much abuse. Given that context, some thought the BBC's coverage was still intrusive and even bullying.
I would disagree. I don't think it was either of those things. I think we were very, very careful in our language, in our tone, in our register. I'm acutely aware of the nature of online discourse about politics. I like politicians. I think it's an admirable calling. It is a noble thing to put yourself up for public office. And it comes with a level of scrutiny that much of the rest of us are not subjected to. But one of the consequences of that, and it's a harsh consequence, but you can't walk past it, is that she was sitting next to the Prime Minister in the most high-profile moment of the political week. So those images were consumed by millions and were going to be consumed by millions, regardless of the decisions of people like me. What we have to do is responsibly tell the story, because it is true that in the moments in which that was happening, two things were going on. One, some were pondering whether or not she would continue as Chancellor. Now, it was quickly established that she would, but in and of the moment, they were live questions. And it is also true in and of the moment that the markets were moving in response to the Chancellor of the Exchequer's demeanour, her tears, during Prime Minister's questions. That was a reality. As a journalistic organisation, you can't walk past that. You've just got to ensure that you do it in the right manner and in the right tone.
So ultimately, Chris, you're saying that you have to know what she was crying about.
You have to, journalistically, we have to seek to try and find out what she was crying about, because journalistically you're always asking questions and you're always conscious that your knowledge is imperfect. Perhaps I should explain to our audience how these things often work at Westminster. Very frequently, let's step back from this particular incident. Someone, a politician, might be missing from a particular event. And the accusation might be from a political rival that they're scared, that they've run away. Quite often, my phone will ring and someone will say discreetly, not for me to repeat on the air, that, you know, they're at a funeral or there's a relative in hospital and they're at the bedside. That totally recalibrates how we tell that particular story. Now, in this instance, we were told something. We were told there was a personal issue. We weren't told anything else. Of course, that's the prerogative of the person sharing the information with us. We were also able then, as I say, to establish that there were other factors too. And I'm proud of how collectively we as a team approached and reported on this issue. It would have been possible to get it wildly wrong. but it's our duty to report it and to do it in the right and responsible way.
I just wondered, Chris, do you think it makes a difference that she's a woman and that female viewers might have felt particularly protective of her? I must admit, I did.
I think that's. I was conscious as a man reporting on that that the dynamic of that, but at the same time, it does come back to the fact that you can't walk away from what you're seeing. You can't walk away from those images. You have to tell that story, but you have to tell it responsibly and with nuance and, crucially, humanity, because there was a collective conversation, Samira, that went on at Westminster this week, not just within the Labour Party, not just amongst politicians, but amongst journalists too, and I was part of this conversation, which is, where is the line between public and private? Where is the line between curiosity and something that goes beyond that because it's stretching into the private? The line, the importance of humanity in our reporting, I think that's absolutely essential. And this issue, and it doesn't happen very often in politics, but this issue threw up those questions, and it should. A proper journalistic process looks at questions like that at a moment like this and proceeds, having worked our way through them, to a place where we think we're comfortable.
Chris Mason, thank you. Thank you for all your comments this week. If you want to share your opinions about what you see or hear on BBC News, on TV, radio, online and social media, email newswatch@bbc.co.uk, or you can find us on X @NewswatchBBC. You can call us or WhatsApp us on 0370 010 6676, and do have a look at previous interviews on our website, bbc.co.uk/newswatch. That's all from us for now. Thank you for joining us. Do think about getting in touch and perhaps even coming on the programme. We'll be back to hear more of your thoughts about how the BBC covers the news next week. Goodbye.